The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Back to just the best guest. If you're just joining us, Randy Foreman, and we're gonna have up that coincidence thing here in just a minute. This was given to me by another investigator in the series of events in the Obama life, and it brings up, of course, the president, Valerie Jarrett, Bernadette Doran, Obama Sr., Reverend Wright, everybody who shows up in this guy's life, and how they really are. I mean, not even 2 or 3 degrees of separation. They're just linked up, and you see this guy, and you broke away by saying, sort of the Hitchcock's MacGuffin. If you were to understand one thing, Randy, of this guy's life, one truth, what would you want it to be?
Well, what would it want to be? Who the heck is he? I mean, we don't know. we don't know. I mean, that's the most critical question. I mean, it's beyond bizarre. People don't want to deal with it, and that's and somehow this story's going to come out. It's going to come out. Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, I'm sort of Shakespearean, Old Testament, Greek theater. The truth will out. But now, into his second term, he's got 2 years left. And I had some hope when his numbers of approval rating started to fall, and he's sort of in Richard Nixon land now. And I thought somebody would step up. But then you think of people like Chuck Todd, Brian Williams, any of these people. I don't expect them to do it. Do you?
I don't know. I don't expect any of these people to do it. But I think the longer these people keep silent on this, the harder it's going to be when this thing does break. It's going to be, I feel like it's going to be harder on these people. And I think the worst possible thing that these people are doing right now is keeping quiet about this. Yeah. I think this is only aiding what Mike Zulo's doing, I think.
I read your piece. You spent 4 hours with Zulo. First, tell the folks about who he is. That's important.
Sure. He's the head of the unit in the Maricopa County, Arizona, Phoenix Sheriff's Office, which is the biggest sheriff's office apparently in the United States. That he is the head of the cold case, what's called the cold case posse. He's a New Jersey detective. He worked in law enforcement jobs in New Jersey. And this is a guy. When I got to talk with him and everything else, this is a guy who's he's really went after some really tough people in his day. And this is. I mean, Joe Arpaio could not have picked a better person to do this job than Mike Zulo. And I mean, he's absolutely. And I don't think Washington intimidates him at all at this point. I think he knows what he's doing. This investigation is, I caught up with him about, let's say, maybe 2 years ago, 1 to 2 years ago at CPAC, and he was saying, well, gee, if we could get it in front of Congress. That was not at all the attitude that I got from him when I met with him out here. And he basically we did some research on Newsblaze did some research on this topic, and we actively cooperated with Mike Zulo on this. And we can't say what we did, but we can tell you basically that, I mean, he came out here. He was very, very professional in what he did. Very professional, and I can tell you that this. I can tell you some of his interactions with people in this investigation. It's a complete culture shock to this city. They're not ready to handle this. They don't know. Yeah. This is just the thing is, Peter. You talked about in your opening. You talked about how when Elizabeth Warren came to Denver. And you said no one covered, or was it you were saying?
They gave her. Here's what happened, and we got SC coming up this morning. This fellow SC Sherman, he is like Elizabeth Warren's stalker. This he's clever, he's funny, but I kept all the media reports prior. In other words, lay downs from this character Eli Did he say Eli?
I don't know.
Where else does we trigger this?
Eli's coming.
All right. That's on me. That's not on Casey. But we kept all the pieces that were written in the Denver Post. We kept all the pieces written by Fox News, lionizing, if you would, the arrival of Elizabeth Warren to fundraise for Mark Udall. And
well, yeah.
And I went, are you kidding me? No one in this Front Range knows that she is as phony as, and she's a plagiarist, and she's, you know what? So we did 2 days on it, made fun of it, had lots of people on. You know what? She came and left without any attention.
Well, that's my point is think about this. Here's an investigation from one law enforcement agency out here in this country. If this is everyone keeps using the phrase, if this was a Democrat, you would have satellite trucks. I wouldn't even be able to get anywhere near this, person. This is, to me, this is huge news that he was here in Washington last week. It was huge, and he called, basically, it was from research that we had done, and I spent the better part of August working on, and they wanted to see it. We said, okay, sure, and we did. I've worked with the posse in this, and he came here, and it's amazing just how much of a culture shock this investigation is to the city. He was here, and I have to tell you, he's a very professional guy. He's moving this forward. I can tell you that he told me while he was out here. This man has quit his job to do this.
I know.
Do what he's doing.
As I say, they said that on, in the Blues Brothers were on a mission from God, but Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio has this top deputy. His name is Mike Zulo, and I've talked to him numbers of times. And he came to D.C. and the same thing, by the way, has happened to Joel Gilbert. Joel Gilbert spoke in the press club in Washington D.C. and he said there is, and I think I'm paraphrasing him, but he said there's a Pulitzer for anybody in this room that wants it. All they have to do is convince a mainstream outlet that they're going to pursue who is Barack Obama. And you know what?
I don't think I'll get a Pulitzer, but at least maybe the Bradley Prize might be enough.
But what is? Again, I have boxes now of stories, phony documents, on just an amazing assortment of questions about Barack Obama, unanswered questions of Barack Obama's life, and I am by no stretch of the imagination a George Bush fan, but I guarantee you that if this was Bush, these guys would be on this with both feet.
I feel the same way. I'm not really a fan of the Republican establishment anymore.
Not at all.
But but that's exactly, and it's just weird. But I think, like I said, you read it. There's a tweet that was sent out by one of the principal mouthpieces of this investigation, Mark Gallar.
Sure.
He said, Mark Gallar at a Tea Party Power Hour, he said basically what Arpaio is going to do, it will change will reorder, I can't remember the exact words, it'll reorder America's political establishment or whatever. And I retweeted it. That's what's going on. That's what this investigation will do.
Do you believe?
There are a lot.
Go ahead. Here's a question for you. And we're Monday morning, September the 8th. Thursday is 9/11. We're going to talk to people in open lines about their fears. Jim Emery's coming up. S.C. Sherman on Elizabeth Warren coming to town and leaving, and no one talks about it. Some folks who are cruising for the cause, and it's a motorcycle ride, and then Lieutenant Colonel Alan West on the silence of the GOP. Also going to talk about the Middle East. But you watch this, and there's a Canadian television outlet called Vision TV.
I did. I saw that. Yeah.
Now let's you and I talk about that, because it's Canada's only English language cable satellite television provider, and it broadcast about 100 million homes. And they did a thing, and we're going to follow up on this, Canada's Vision TV, and they say Barack Obama forged his birth certificate. And this guy's on the radio show on Wednesday, and how he shames America's media. And honest to God, this is real, you guys. This is tomorrow's our Level Zero heroes. And then Wednesday, The conspiracy show, the website plugs, is called Episode 4, The Birthers, Barack Obama's Birth Certificate. Have you seen this?
I saw it. In fact, I talked to Mike Zulo about that show, and Zulo remarked to me, he said, "Why didn't they call me?" I mean,
well, that's a good enough criticism, but I mean, so.
But it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, it's what he's saying. Why didn't they call it? It is. But nonetheless, the show was pretty good, except for one. There was one thing that they said in that show that I thought was when Surratt said that it was inconclusive. He said that the natural-born citizenship issue was he said that the natural was more definitive as a or whatever than the fake documents. He said it was inconclusive.
Yeah, I saw that.
He did say it merited more study, which I'm like. But the poll afterwards, if you caught the poll afterwards of that show, it was 70% of people said, or 70% of people that voted in that poll said that they don't believe Barack Obama.
No, and that's
the story.
And it's interesting, you guys. We're going to do this on Wednesday. We have a powerful week, thanks to Casey and thanks to Mr. C. But on Wednesday, they've done a television show in Canada. And there's my man on the line, Randy Foreman. It's true, and they did this Obama's forged birth certificate scandal. They call it America's Media Shamed is the subtitle. And they talked to Phil Berg. They talked to Alina Leonard. I mean, they talk all kinds of different people that you and I have learned to respect. And this guy's name is Richard Serrett, and he had Mario Puzo on it, and he has these quote birthers. And I have learned to wear that as a badge of honor.
Well, I started I used it. If you in my piece, I now call. I think the real proper term for birth, people should be, instead of birther, it should be eligibility activists.
Well, truthers. I mean, I give you all kinds of different words for it, but it's really interesting locally when I used to be cartooned and attacked in columns. It's all gone silent. Now that means that I don't know what it means inside of the minds of these people, but what I really like is this television show existed, and we're going to have a copy of it on Wednesday on our website. And so let me do this with about 2 minutes left in the piece. Ask you, will this break water? Will we see it someday? I mean, totally.
Oh, definitely. I could say. I mean, from this visit, I thought that this visit was a success for Zulo. It was a total success with what he was doing. This type of a move that I saw from what he did this last week. I mean, this investigation, in my opinion, is ramping up. Him and his aides, I mean, they're working hard. Their team, they're ramping up, and I mean, he's a very decent, I mean, just absolutely solid investigator, and these guys are doing themselves no favors by not talking about, and not coming clean. They're not doing themselves. This is not a guy you want to tangle with.
No, I agree.
Mike Zulo is not a guy, and I just it's only going to be harder for him. I mean, he talked about basically. I mean, Mike Zulo is the type of person that Bob Seger, when he wrote the song Shakedown, this is what that song was about. It was about someone like Mike Zulo. What's going on with this investigation is wilder than an episode of House of Cards.
Now, I'm told from inside, from some of our sources, that, and they say this, maybe they say it too much, hang on. But I'm willing to hang on because, and then when I say that to people, and then but no one else is doing it. We're simply, this radio show and the show I had before this, we're just simply a rubber tube system. We're like a pneumatic tube system for people that I have respect for. But I really get a sense, again, that this is going to heat back up. The Canadian TV show, Zulo, guys like yourself. Randy, I hold out hope.
I not only hold out hope, I mean, he expressed it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what he did tell me an estimate. I'm not going to tell your listeners over the air and everything, but he did tell me an estimate of what he thought, how he was going to do the press conference, that he'd do it in Phoenix after, coming up. But I mean, he's definitely working this case. I mean, he's been in 70 cities, traveling.
I know.
I mean, this guy is probably laboring. He's laboring quietly, but this is what an investigation like this works.
We will
it works.
See.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.